Welcome to Two Humans Talking, the podcast that talks about what it really takes to be healthy and stay healthy in a modern, fast paced world. I'm Tiffany Simms, your holistic wellness coach, and today I am bringing you Danielle. And her and I just had the best holistic woman to woman, let's be real chat behind the scenes before we hit record to record this episode for you. And so I'm really excited to bring her passion and her energy and just share what it really does look like to be healthy amongst all the noise. And so, Danielle, before we hop into it today, can you share like who you are, where do you live, what types of things would we find you doing on a Saturday that make you you?
Oh, I love that question. So, my name is Danielle La Rose, and I am a body confidence coach and wellness strategist. And I am on a mission to help every girl and woman look in the mirror and truly, truly love who she sees, not what she sees, but who she sees. And so I do that through my business is Pretty Powerful. So I work with women, and then I also have a Pretty Powerful Girl program, which is all about girls and empowering them and confidence and all the things so that way they grow up healthier and more confident than we did. That's my mission, right? Because I struggled for so long. I'm like, let's do this for girls. So, and I live in Columbus, Ohio. And on a Saturday, well, it depends on which season. But if you want to talk about my favorite season, in fall, you will find me on the couch watching football with my husband and my two German Shepherds, doing absolutely nothing but binging football.
Who's your team? Ohio
Ohio
State.
State. Who's your team?
I don't really care for
No.
football anymore. I played
No.
rugby in or in college and then in my early 20s on an adult league. And it used to be the Redskins.
Ah,
And in my early 20s, after playing like 7 years of rugby, we finally went to like a Cowboys Redskins game. I guess they're the Commanders now, which is like the game you always dream of going to.
yeah.
And I remember being so bored because every 5 seconds they were like changing the lines out and like offense would come off and defense would go on. And I'm like, there's no blood. Like, what are we stopping for? There'd be a commercial break. And I'm like, whereas in rugby, like the whistle doesn't blow unless there's literal blood on the field. You just keep going and you play the whole time. And so I think because of that, and like that was it. That was the end of my football. Like I wasn't for me anymore. I was just like, I can't handle this.
Yeah. No, I
It's
totally
too
get
slow
you.
paced.
Yeah, it is you have to definitely get used to it. And I just remember when I started getting into soccer, everyone was like, "Oh, soccer's so boring." And I was like, "Oh my gosh, it's not like once you get into it, like you said, they play the whole time. Like there's no break. You don't have a potty break. You don't need to get up and get snacks. Like you literally are focused for 45 minutes at a time. It's
And
great."
they're just going, right?
Yes. It's so
So it's
good.
just different. My brain after I experienced it, I was like, my brain cannot focus on like I no, it's just not for me. So
Yeah. Yeah, everyone has
yeah,
their thing, right?
everyone has their thing,
Yeah.
and I do love like. I'm not really big into sports. I love hockey. Like I like going to ice hockey games and watching the Caps play. Like because there's something about being there in the arena and like all of the energy and like people getting slammed up into the board. It's just so hypey. And I'm like, oh yeah, I love this.
Yeah.
But every other sport, like I'll go hang out with some friends, but I'm the girl who's like, oh, do you need something? Let me go get that for you. I'll come back with snacks. I'm gonna go walk around this thing like 20 times. I'll be back in like an hour. Oh, there's fireworks. I'll go. Like, but like if you
Great.
want me to go to a sporting event, tell me there's fireworks. I'll be there.
That's great. I love this so much.
Right? And then there's nothing wrong. Like, oh my God. And if you can give me a soft pretzel with some like spicy mustard, also,
Oh,
I am there for you all day long.
girl, pretzels
Why
are my
not?
love language.
They're so delicious.
So
And
good.
there's something about like salty with like the mustard, and it's just
I love a
so.
good nacho cheese with my pretzel.
Oh, see, nacho cheese is too salty for me. See,
Okay.
real. I told you, I was like, we're gonna talk real life. Like we are insta besties, and this is how it's gonna go. Because everyone thinks, and I'm so glad we just talked about that, because everyone thinks that either you're dieting and starving yourself and restricting yourself, and there's no joy, or you're having a cheat day. When in reality, like healthy is always knowing what's best for you in the moment, you know? And so, like, one of my favorite things to do is I run a lot of like Disney races, Danielle. And so like I love getting a Mickey Mouse pretzel when I'm done. And people are like, "What was the point?" And it's like, "Did you, because you earned that?" And it's like, "No, like my body needed a replenishment." And that was like, who doesn't want to run for a Mickey pretzel because they can?
What's wrong with you? What is the
Right?
problem?
But I think that goes into like what we were talking about behind the scenes of like everyone has an opinion. It's
Mm.
either you're on track or you're like flailing in the party ocean and like you're supposed to love yourself in all the stages. And so like what is it really like for you even as you're scrolling? Like what are you experiencing in your scroll that's like stirring up confusion for you?
Yeah. I mean, like I started my health journey, I don't know, like a year or so after I finished grad school. And, I for a long time I struggled with all the things, right? Like I took the diet pills, I would eat one meal a day. I would be that dramatic person that was like, I have to lose weight. Like I have to be skinny. That was my mindset. And so I continued on that journey and I was very extreme. And then one day, I'm not going to do all the background stuff about all that, but my degree is in sociology with a focus in women's health. Like I understand marketing and I understand, I studied this and I was like, what's wrong with me? Why am I'm angry at the beauty industry that in the fitness industry that is selling me this idea of like diets and be perfect and look this way and have this body. I would do, what was it like? Britney Spears one time told me that she did like 1,600 crunches a day or 1,200 crunches a day. And so I was like, all right, all I got to do is 1,200 crunches a day to look like Britney Spears and I'm good. And I was obviously that we know that doesn't work because, well, my body's different than hers. But, and so I
And was
just,
she really?
what?
And was she actually? Like,
Right. Right. There's that. But again, that's what we were always sold like with the magazines and the commercials. And,
yeah.
it was just this whole thing of like, I have to look perfect. And then I switched and I was like, F all of this. I am body confident. I am screw all of that. I am going to love myself no matter what. I'm going to be anti-diet. I'm going to be body positive. I'm going to be
Then
all these
eat
things.
everything because I can.
Yes.
I'll show them.
Yes. I mean, really, isn't that kind of how that mindset is? And I'm not saying that they promote this, but that's a lot of the mindset that I got wrapped up in is I am going to show them. You treated me this way for so long and told me everything was wrong with my body. Now I'm going to say screw you and
I'm
everything's
gonna
perfect.
force you to love me even though I'm miserable. Because
Right.
you're supposed to love what's inside.
Yes. Yes. And you love your body no matter what. And so again, so my scrolling, I got into that scroll of everything's body positive, everything is anti-diet, it's terrible to talk about healthy foods, it's terrible to do all these things. And so I went along with that, right? Like it just warped my mind and I was like, yes, 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 all of this. And then one day I went and I was like, okay, because I'm one of those like number one, I love to learn. And number two, I am like many women who think I just need another training, another certification, another thing to make me qualified. And so I went and I was signing up for this like body positive self-love certification to just have it just cuz. And one of the things was I had to agree that I would never ever promote or encourage or help anyone lose weight. And I sat there for a
Not
minute
right.
and I was like, okay, I agree with like the body positive. I agree with like love yourself and not shaming yourself and not going into these crash diets. Like I'm about that. But when you tell me that I shouldn't help or encourage or support a woman who wants to lose weight that would make her feel better and perhaps help her health, I mean, I can't sign that document. So I
Yeah.
stopped there and I was like, okay, I'm on the deep end over here now. I was on the deep end there and now I'm on this deep end. And I was like, where is this happy middle? And then I realized nobody's talking about the happy middle because we're afraid we're going to offend this side or we're going to upset this side. And I was like, bah.
Well, that and like, let's just call a spade a spade. It's not sexy and no one buys it. So the marketing gets really hard. And so it's really hard to talk about how to love yourself and be healthy in a sustainable way to find your healthy body, whatever that is. Because for some people, that's gaining weight. For others, is releasing excess fat they don't need anymore. It's messy and it's not sexy and it doesn't sell because people want the ends. The extremes that are polarizing are what get the most attention.
Yeah.
And I know that like, I got so pissed off too because it was like, that's how I ended. I was a nuclear chemist for 12 and a half years.
Oh,
I kept
cool.
your lights on. And one day I allowed myself, I ignored all of the signals. I allowed myself to get into a funk. I like just allowed myself to be consumed by the shit and burnt out really hard. And I
Mm.
knew I was actively letting it happen, but like I liked the misery a little bit. You know what I
Mm.
mean? Like I
Yeah.
wanted to feel justified, and so I let it happen. And so with that, my health got let go. I wasn't eating the way I needed to. I
Yeah.
was like eating more of the like the comfort and FU foods.
Right.
And I was like really living in the funk. And one day I was at my desk and I was like, oh my God, my pants are uncomfortable. I had to like unbutton my pants and they were still uncomfortable. And I was like, all right, I gotta do something. And like I Googled, I was like, I need to lose 15 pounds fast. And all of a sudden, it was this desk. I like pushed myself away and I was like, what the heck are you doing? And like, I'm home by myself in this office. And so, like, it's not like anyone could see me being dramatic, but that is
Yeah.
literally what happened. And I was like, you know better.
Mm.
Like, you've been dieting your whole life. You know that that is not the answer. You learned what was working for you. You allowed all of these things to happen. You know what you need to pay attention to and what habits you need to focus on. Why are you searching for a diet?
Mm.
And then that immediately switched into like intense anger. I was pissed. And I was like, F the diet industry, F the world, F all the doctors that didn't actually help me with my binge eating disorder. Like, F all of them. Why is no one actually promoting how to be healthy? Why are they all selling weight loss instead of health? It's why it's not sustainable and why people are Googling what I was just trying to do because we wanted it fast because we're miserable and we want a solution now. And it was like, and Danielle, it was like in that moment, and all of this happened in under 6 minutes. I was like, Tiff, because I'm a high performer at heart and I am a solution oriented person and I don't believe in complaining and I believe that we have control over tomorrow. And I was like, Tiff, you got two options. You either accept that this is just the way it is and you stop complaining about it, which is an option, it's a valid option, or you do something about it. But that's it. And you got to decide because we can't keep having this like frustration moment. And I was like, well, I guess I have to go change, do my best to figure out how to change the story because like you said and like what I was saying, like no one should experience that moment, but no one is teaching us how to be healthy in our own bodies.
Yeah. And it's also that mindset piece though
I was
too,
just
right?
yelling at you. I'm so
You better not apologize. No, you yell at me. You go, sister. I loved every
I'm
second of
like
that
coming
moment.
at you through the screen. Now that I'm breathing, I'm like, whoa.
Girlfriend, you keep coming at me through the screen. I'm here for this. I love that story so much because it's so real. Because again, like you are seen as an expert in this field, right? Like people look at, I have clients right now that I'm like, oh my gosh, they could be listening to this episode and hear that I struggle and I don't even know what I'm doing sometimes. And I Google how to lose 15 pounds quick, right? Like, and yet I'm telling them, don't do that. You know, it's that whole like the pull of all the things. And, you know, I've been hearing so much recently about like these dualities of life. Like you can have this and this, right? Like I can love, like I truly do, no matter what my body is, I have learned over the past 15 years, like I really have taught myself how to appreciate my body more, to have gratitude for my body, to approach health and fitness in a positive way that's right for me. So, you know, like you were saying, like Googling for that, you know, I just did that a couple months ago where I was like, homegirl, you've been so yay, love yourself for so long that you literally don't feel good. Like you were saying, you know, like my arm started rubbing like my shirt a different way. And I was like, oh, that's really uncomfortable. Like, how did that happen? Right. My jeans, none of my jeans, I don't even wear jeans, let's be honest, but I do have one pair and I put one on and they did not fit anymore. And I was like, these are like, you know, and it makes you go down that rabbit hole in your mind because again, we spent our whole lives being told that our bodies are wrong. And also we've been told our whole lives that like our health and fitness is separate from our life, right? Like you either go all in on this health and fitness and you're go, 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 lose weight, get fit. And then your life is over on
Or
the
you're
other
an or
side.
you're a fat fuck.
Right. And like,
Like
that's it. Like you have those, like you have two options and like, there's no how to live life with health and fitness being a part of your life, right? Like
yeah.
it's always like, oh, you got to go spend. When I first started, I spent like 3 hours at the gym. Who can do that? I could at the time because like I was in the middle of jobs, but like that's not a sustainable thing. But in my mind, that's what I
Yeah.
thought it meant to be healthy.
And then there's the people that are doing that and that's their lifestyle and that's great for them. That's what's
Yeah.
working for them. But then they're shaming the people who are saying, I don't have 3 hours to go to the gym or an hour. And it's like, you just don't want it bad enough.
Mm,
You're just making excuses. And I am so ashamed to say that at one point in my health and wellness career, I was that person after I had figured out a piece of health for myself that I became that person who like was like, oh no, you're making excuses. I was there, like, and now I'm this, and it's just like, no, you don't want it bad enough. And really, I was just regurgitating what the doctors were telling me when I was being treated for binge eating disorder, and I would come back gaining weight week after week. And they're like, you're lying to yourself about what you're really doing at home. Like, you just don't actually want to get better. And so like I was regurgitating that now that it clicked for me in that season
right.
of life. And I say that very specifically, clicked in that season of life.
Yeah.
And it's not true.
And I think like we were kind of talking about before we even push record, I think a lot of times we're afraid to say things because again, we might offend somebody and, they'll come at us. But at the same time, I think it's also for us because I was the same way, right? Like I used to post pictures back in the day that I would never post now, and I think, oh my gosh, did I mess some woman up, right? Like, did I give her the wrong advice? Did she like her life go crumbling down because of me, right? Like, I'm not that important, but that's where my brain goes, right? Because we want to genuinely help humans. Like that's the goal is to help. And so then when we remember those times where we're like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I said that. Even now it's like, okay, but if what I say today is wrong in 5 years, maybe I just shouldn't say it today. And so I think there's also this space here for us to also say, I'm sharing with you right now, right? Like what works for me and how I believe in the information and the education that I have. But as years go on, I'm allowed to change
I'm
and
allowed to
evolve.
evolve and change. Yes.
Right? Like who says that like because we decided 10 years ago to like go on this journey and that's what we thought then that we can't change, right? But we put ourselves in these boxes and it's really annoying.
And it's really hard. Like, so I went through a season last year where like I was in the beginning because I'm a very solid size 12. And I've been larger, I've been smaller, but I've never been this holistically healthy and
Mm,
energetic and thriving in all of the areas of my life at the same time, right? And so like you can't argue with me that I'm a healthy person just because I don't fit your image of what healthy looks like.
yes, girl.
Um and so I was calling myself the mid-size nutritionist, trying to like overcome
Mm,
the feedback before. And because I had anchored myself into this identity of how I showed up in the marketplace, when I wanted to make some changes because what I was doing was no longer working for me, like you said, like I'm a little uncomfortable now. Like I was good, but like now I'm ready for more and for something different. I struggled how to talk about it because I didn't want to be a hypocrite.
yeah.
And it took me a really long time to recognize that part of being healthy is truly being in tune with your body and
Yes.
what success looks like for you in all of the life buckets and how you're feeling. Like, is your body serving the life and goals and values that you have in the season that you're in? And those seasons change, which means that my body is going to change because right now it might be what was best for me is going for a 20-minute walk every single day, but there might be another season where going and lifting heavy weights 5 days a week might be the right exercise choice for me. And
Yeah.
both of those are okay as
Yeah.
long as it's intentional and it's serving the purposes to give me the life that I need and not holding me back either because I'm not healthy enough to keep up and I'm struggling to tie my shoe, or I'm so consumed that there's no room for anything else in my life.
Right. Like, what is, like, if we really think about it, like, what is the point of being healthy and quote unquote fit? Like, what is the point? Right. Like, the point is for most of us. Now, some people are competitors and, they need certain abs and all the things, right? Like, you go, you do you. That's perfect for you. For majority of the population, we need to do health and fitness in order to live a great life, right? Like, so like when I work with people, I'm always like, what's your life? Like, what life do you want to live? And they're like, I came to you for health and fitness. I'm like, I know you did, but what do you want out of your life?
We're talking about everything but, like, yeah, I'll give
Right.
you some things for food and exercise, but we're really going to talk about the rest of your life,
Right.
because the
Because I'm
rest of
like,
your life feeds into your choices.
yes, like if I don't know, like I always go through the 3 Ps, right? Like your passion, your purpose, priorities. Like, what are those things to you? Because if, and I like to ask, what are your top 3 priorities? And if having the perfect, quote unquote, perfect body isn't on there, then why are you going to the gym 3 hours a day? Unless it's for your mental health and that's really great for you. But why are you doing that? You don't need to go to the gym for 3 hours a day if the goal is not to have the perfect body. If your goal is to be healthy so you can run around with your kids in the front yard, you don't need to stress yourself out about spending that much time, or you don't need to follow the meal plan that Susie Q over here is following, who's not eating carbs and is eating a ton of protein and these fats and that, and she's cutting all these things. Why are you following her plan? Her goals, her life, her priorities are like so different from yours. So like you don't need to be doing the same thing. And so it's just one of those things where like we just have to realize the goal of why we're eating what we're eating, why we're doing the workouts that we're doing, and what the overall arching like
Yes.
purpose is, And I think it's so important. Like you said, you mentioned like workouts and like the season of life. For me, it's a lot of times it's the food. And so for me, I've been, love your body, eat whatever, not eat whatever. In
No,
moderation,
we go,
kind of.
be honest, like, it's okay to be honest. We all go through that season in the like deprogramming where
Yeah.
we're like, I'm going to eat everything because I can, and I'm just going to eat like an asshole because F you. You know what I mean? Like, we go through that and then realize, like, that actually wasn't the answer either.
That wasn't the answer,
I
but
feel like crap.
right. That wasn't the answer. But I will say that even when I was eating, quote unquote, whatever I wanted, I was still eating a lot of stuff like at home. I was still cooking. I was just using more sauces, more like different things. I wasn't being extreme with like plain eating.
Oh my God. Did it break your brain to learn that broccoli doesn't lose its nutritional value if you add cheese to it?
I love, why is that the best quote I've ever heard?
But for real though.
Yes. Oh my gosh. I won't eat broccoli without cheese. Like, do not hand that to me without
And I
cheese.
can't tell you how many people back in the day I judged for putting cheese on their kids' broccoli because how unnutritious, how unhealthy of you.
Oh my
The
gosh. I
broccoli
heard
didn't lose its nutritional value.
growing up, I was always told you don't eat after 5 p.m. You don't eat more than 1,200 calories, right? Like all these dumb things that we were always told that we weren't supposed to do. So, anyways, but my point was that yes, sometimes I ate what I wanted. Like my favorite thing in the whole world is McDonald's French fries. Don't argue. I don't care. McDonald's can live in a bag for like 20 years. I don't care. And I don't listen, when I found these TikToks where they were like, "Oh, just eat that whatever food it is that you struggle with that you can't stop eating, just eat it for like 2 weeks straight and then you'll never want it again." Homegirl, I would eat McDonald's twice a day continuously my whole college career. Like, do not tell me that the flavor goes away. I still love me a McDonald's French fry. So, anyways, but I would eat those things, but I'm just saying, like, for the most part, though, I was still eating quote unquote healthy, but my body, because I'm aging, life is changing, the workouts were changing, my body changed. I don't have a scale, so I don't know like if I quote unquote gained weight, but like my body grew. I feel it. My clothes show it.
You became
And
an adult.
yes, right? Like, and
You
so
no longer have the body of a toddler.
correct. And so, I just think it's also important, people that are like, I'm eating healthy and my body's still whatever. And I'm like, maybe my body is supposed to be like, if I am eating healthy, right? Like I'm getting that nutritional value that my body needs, right? Our bodies are the most magical machines in the world. Like, all I got to do is give it the nutrients and the vitamins that it needs. And so, if
Feel
I'm
you.
doing that and I'm getting movement, then like perhaps, I don't know, maybe my body is the size that it's actually supposed to be. Maybe my body is the way that it is.
Yes.
right?
Right? Because I'm with you. I learned the very hard way that my body will maintain the weight that it's supposed to be very naturally and easily if I start listening to it and giving it what it's asking for and its nutritional needs. And that my body's shape and size changes with the demands I put on it.
Mm,
And that
yes.
that is perfectly normal
Mhm.
and okay. It's when I'm not paying attention and I'm not treating my body with love and care and I'm feeding it junk and I'm not moving it and I'm not honoring it that then the excess weight becomes a problem.
And homegirl, you know why we do that? Is because we've been taught our whole lives how to lose weight, but we've never been taught how to tune into our body and understand how to have a healthy relationship with it and listen to our body. We've never
Yeah.
been taught that.
It breaks the internet's mind that someone like me, who is a very size 12, mid size, nothing super spectacular about her, has run over 250 some miles through Disney World, that this body can do that. That's like, but you don't look like a runner. What does that even mean? You don't like, how many people like fat shame people in the running community for running races? And it's like, well, maybe you should spend more time eating less. And it's like, what are you doing? Like, all bodies deserve movement, all bodies are capable of movement. And we have no idea from the outside what is working for someone because this body of mine could be smaller. However, I am prone to binge eating disorder. And so, like, for me, doing the things that I would need to do to be smaller sends me into restrictive and binge mode very, very quickly. So, like,
Yeah.
I would personally, like, if I'm being really, really honest, I would like to be slightly smaller on my frame. However, it's not worth for me, like, I'm still healing other things. And so, it's not worth the binge eating disorder for me. And so
Yeah.
like that holistically healthy of what is maintainable and sustainable with me in my own skin is really, really important. And you
One of,
don't know that about someone just looking at them
yeah.
on the sidewalk.
One of my favorite quotes that I've heard recently is if it's not good for your mental health, it's not good for your physical health. And it's just one of those things where like we do so many things for our physical body that's not good for our mindset.
Yeah.
And so we have to like switch that around. And yes, also let's just bring it here with that what you just shared. My body is none of your business. Plain and simple.
There's that
And
too.
your body is none of my business. Now, if you ask me for support and you ask me for help, obviously that's what we do. But I have no right to make a comment on your body. I'm not your freaking doctor. I don't know your numbers. I don't know your blood work. I don't know any of that to actually be able to say you're healthy or unhealthy. Health is not a look. I mean, I know that we've been taught that our whole lives, but
Not.
like health doesn't look a certain way. It doesn't. Because you can look at someone and think, oh my gosh, that's the healthiest person in the world. And I can take you to them right now. And if you heard them talk, you would absolutely say, oh my gosh, that is the most unhealthy person I've ever met. But you
Yes.
would never think that.
I would never know it. So like what the fitness industry knows, like what the people in the industry, in the fitness models and stuff, what they know that the everyday woman doesn't is that when you see her on the cover of a magazine, she had been eating it for work for 3
Right.
months, preparing for that photo shoot, and that is not her everyday body. She knows that. Everyone in the room knows that. But we don't know that when we
Yeah.
see it, and that's what we're told healthy is when it's like 15 pounds slim down for summer, in the next 10 days or 7 days, and it's like a 15-pound shred or something.
Yeah.
They know that what she did to look photo shoot ready is not the sustainable everyday eating, that she was doing her damn job. But
Right.
we don't. And then we compare ourselves to it. And then we try to follow the things that are meant to be an isolated sprint for a very specific reason for a specific period of time. And then we wonder why we can't maintain it.
Yeah.
Like, because you were never meant to look like that full time. Even fitness competitors, they have an on season and an off season.
Right. For sure.
Like, and a lot in that world, like you see so many of them like downing the donuts and the burgers and stuff after a big competition. But that's not actually healthy either because we're not meant to swing at the extremes.
Mm-mm.
I don't
No.
know about you, but the first time that I said no thank you to a cupcake, not because I was dieting, but just because I didn't want it that
Mm.
day, was like such a weird day. Because then the next day someone asked me, and I was like, yeah, you know what? Thank you. I would love that. And like someone made a friend in the room made a comment. She was like, I thought you weren't eating cupcakes. And I was like, huh? She's like, you said no yesterday. I thought you were dieting. And it's like, I actually get to check in every day to see what I actually want and don't want. And that doesn't mean anything.
Right. And also,
Like,
and also what is quote unquote dieting? Because if we want to actually talk about the definition of a diet, it's literally just what you eat. So yes,
it's,
I guess
yeah,
every day I
it's
am
the
dieting,
nutritional choices,
right?
your preferences, your nutritional
Yeah,
preferences.
yeah. It's just, yeah, it's a very interesting world that we live in. And like you said, it's also very hard for people that are in this space, right? As educators, as I'm a trainer and certified coach, all the things, like even as with those like labels, it's hard because you want to do quote unquote the right thing, but also what sells. And I used to have business coaches that would say, sell them what they want, give them what they need. And I was like, so I'm supposed to just put out here like get 6-pack abs in 30 days, right? Like because I know that they'll buy that. That doesn't agree. Like I don't agree with
Bait
that
and
with my
switch.
values and morals, you know?
Yeah, you gotta bait and switch it, right? And then we wonder why people don't trust humans. It's because
Right.
they're constantly being exaggerated to. Can we
Yeah.
go back real quick to the concept of like we talked a little bit about the extremes of the fit people and their judgments on the everyday woman. Can we talk a little bit about our experiences in the body positivity world? Because I think that's where I was going when I was sharing about like that mid-size moment and wanting to change and getting backlash, being afraid of the backlash of the body positivity community of you're in diet culture and now you're fat shaming and now you're all of this, and it's like I don't think that body positivity was meant to shame you for taking care of your health, but yet it became that in some ways of like, oh, if you want to lose weight and you are a larger person, clearly you don't love yourself.
Yeah.
Why can't it be about loving yourself while working on yourself in the
Mm.
areas you want to improve on?
Yeah. Because we think that if you love something, you don't need to change it. And so that's what the question always is, right? Is can you love your body and want to change it at the same time? And my answer is always, of course you can. People, not us, but people love their kids and they still wish that they would stop doing a lot of stuff. They wish that they would grow and change and do all these things, right? I love my husband, but there are times when I wish that he would change some things, right? Like just because we love something, I love my business. That doesn't mean that I don't want it to grow, right? I love my body, but loving my body, we take care of things we love. And I take care of my body by moving it and fueling it. It's like you have a car, right? Like that'd be like saying, I love my car, so it doesn't need gas. My body is like a vehicle. My body needs the gas. It needs the macronutrients, right? It needs the vitamins. It needs all of that to perform at its peak level. And so we talk a lot about shaming um or like yes, the body positive movement, right? Like the whole point is to be inclusive of all bodies and to not shame because we know that shaming someone for what they do doesn't create change. If you want someone to be healthy, telling them that they're fat and ugly does not make them want to go get healthy. That's not a motivation tactic. So we know that that doesn't work. So we don't need to do that. So the body positive movement in my mind was always we're inclusive of like all body sizes are worthy of love and respect and being shown on TV and in stores and in clothing to so every person can look at someone and be like they're beautiful and they look just like me. And so we have like for me that's what it always was about of like no matter where I go I can feel comfortable in this space at my body size. And then you get part of that world and I remember someone commented on one of my posts like it must be easy looking like you and I was like well That okay. I understand that maybe you have frustration in your body and maybe you're taking it out on me. So I understand that. But at the same time, you don't know what I go through, right? Like you don't know the talk that I have in my head. You don't know how I see my body. You don't know, right, all the struggles that I've dealt with loving and appreciate trying to love and appreciate my body. So you don't get to just say that like, oh, it must be nice because you're in a smaller body than me because I have the same thoughts and feelings that you probably have. And I'm
Yeah.
trying to work through those because how my body like and that's the thing that we always get like confused. Body image is separate from body size. You can love your body and it has nothing to do with your body size. You can hate your body and it has nothing to do with your size. There are small people who hate their body and there are large people who hate their body. There are small people who love their body and there's large people who hate or love their body. Like there's this it's just different. It's just how you see and view your body. And so again, and then I remember when I like was really starting my fitness journey and I was like super, right? The obsession of like, I have to eat the perfect. I have to do this workout. I have to get abs.
That orthorexia that some of us develop in our
Yeah.
journey, which is
Yeah.
that unhealthy relationship with being healthy.
Right. And so for me, like my definition of health was always six pack abs. Like if you had abs, girl, you were like the healthiest, fittest person in the world. So in my mind, I was like, I just got to get abs. I also had a number on the scale because a girl in sixth grade told me she had the perfect legs. And I've always struggled with my legs. And in my mind, she had perfect legs. And she told me how much she weighed. And I've carried that number with me to adulthood. Right. And I remember constantly getting on the scale when I first started trying to lose weight not first started, but like as I was trying again. And I got on the scale and I just kept saying, I need that number. I need that number. Like it had my legs weren't going to look like hers. I mean, that was sixth grade. But again, those are the things that we keep in our brains. And then we wonder why we still struggle with loving our bodies. And so we got to like stop like forcing ourselves to try to love our bodies and more
Yes.
to say, how can we be just grateful for our bodies today? Because when we are grateful for them, we're going to be more likely to take care of them and move them and listen
Yes.
to them.
You're allowed to love your body so much to want to do things differently.
Mhm. Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's size independent.
Mhm.
I was talking with a lady last week and she said that she had a friend who was larger and struggled with her weight and was constantly gaining weight and was probably close to 300 pounds. And that they had a friend who was smaller, probably like 115 wet.
Mm.
And the smaller friend was sharing that she felt uncomfortable in her body because she had gained like 5 pounds.
Mm.
And the larger friend was like, are you so insensitive and so blind and numb to the fact of what I'm going through? Like, you're worried about 5 pounds? Like, get over yourself. And that one friend was like, I love you so much, and I'm sorry you're having a hard time, but I'm uncomfortable in my body the same as you, in that the number doesn't actually matter, but you're uncomfortable. I've put on some weight, and while to you it might only be 5 pounds, but I only weigh 100 and some. So 5 pounds is a big deal, and I feel it. I'm allowed to be uncomfortable too.
Mm.
And that's not me saying, like, oh my God, I'm scared to be fat like you. It's saying, I'm uncomfortable in my body and I don't like it.
Yeah.
And both of those can be true and valid and the same.
Yeah. I think what we get to come back home to is that we are more similar than we are different. And the best thing that we can do as women is support each other, lift each other up, celebrate each other, listen to each other's struggles without it meaning anything about our own. Like, we get to be that safe, like, we know each other so much better. Like, I know what it feels like to have cramps and have your period. I know what it feels like, right? To struggle with anxiety and like overwhelm and all the things. I know what so many like we know so much like we have similar situations. We know what it feels like to be told our whole lives that our bodies are bad and wrong and ugly, to fix our cellulite, to change our, to lose weight, to get rid of our wrinkles, to change our gray hair, to, right? Like we're told all of these things. We all have been told this. We all know what it feels like to not feel good enough. We all know what it feels like to want to be prettier. We all know what that feels like. And so if we're going to keep tearing each other apart, what is going to happen is that that's what the beauty industry, it's a $550 billion industry that knows that all they have to do is tell us that we're wrong and our bodies are wrong and give us solutions, pit us against each other. So we just keep fighting and we're like, ah, no, you lose weight. I should lose weight. I need to change this, right? Like, and we're doing all these things. And if we just came together and said, homegirl, like this podcast that you host so beautifully, like I love your conversations here, because it's just that safe space of just saying, here's real life, here's what we're doing, here's where we're struggling, and knowing that like we can come together and support each other. Because, and again, I know I'm going way like off script here. There's no script, but I'm going way off the deep end here. But I have a lot of moms that come to me running the girl program, and just saying like, everything's about mean girls, everything's bullying, no girls get along, my daughter doesn't have girlfriends because boys are better to be friends with. And I'm like, oh my gosh, like we as women, especially in the health fitness world, because I mean the average woman spends like 12.5 hours a week thinking about her body, and we spend millions of dollars like trying to change our bodies. And so that's the one thing that we all like, we spend the most time and energy and stress and overwhelm thinking about is our bodies. And so if we can do a better job as adult women coming together, showing support, not tearing each other down for you, I'm upset that you're upset that you gained 5 pounds when I'm struggling. Like if we could just come together and just show little girls what supportive women look like, what cheering for another woman sounds like, what not talking about another woman's body sounds like, what eating dinner without talking about calories and stress and overwhelm about having to work this off tomorrow. If we could come together as women and decide that we are going to do things different and we are going to like come together as women for this mission, these little girls would grow up seeing other little girls as someone who gets them, who knows them, who can support them. And we would have less of the quote unquote mean girl, which there's no mean girls, it's mean humans, but whatever. But we would have less of that and we would have more of that support. So when they do get older, we would have less of those types of conversations and more of girls cheering for each other and celebrating each other. So I went like, I know I went off on a different way, but
No,
like,
it was
that's like,
beautiful. It was
I just,
gorgeous.
I just hope that when we have more conversations like this, like we can realize like we can come together. And again, it's not just for us, right? It's not just for me to feel more confident in myself. It's not for you to feel more confident in yourself. It is those things, but it's also to say when we do that, this is a ripple effect in our world. And I don't have children, but I really hope that the next generation of girls grows up more confident than I did, more in love with their bodies than I did, more understanding health and understanding food and understanding how to
And
listen to their
less
body.
competition of comparing herself to other girls, because we can both be winning. You and I share the same space in business, but yet I have there is like no worries because we're two different people. And that when you win, I win. When I win, you win, because collectively we're all winning. Like there is no competition against the competition between who you were yesterday and who you're trying to become.
Mic drop, sister.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yes.
but we are not bred that way. We
No.
are not raised that way. And maybe we are in our homes, like our parents tried that, but then we go into the world and the world does not message that.
Mm-mm.
They pin us against each other. Your way's right, my way's wrong. Like, let's fight about it.
Mm-hmm.
And now none of us are actually making progress towards anything that actually matters. And
No.
so, like, what can you do today to love yourself? What do you need to do today or stop doing today because you love yourself so much that you are worth a different result
Oh,
than the one that you're living in, or a different outcome in the environment than the one you currently have?
are you
That's the
asking?
question, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
you can get results out of hating yourself so much and being militant and compliant and disciplined because you hate yourself so much that you want something different. But those results are never the ones that last.
No.
But when you make changes because you love yourself so much that you deserve something different, those are the changes that have always lasted the longest for me.
Yep.
That's when it's become sustainable. And then you get to a point where it's like, oh, I'm feeling good. This worked for me for a really long time, maybe some years, but like I'm ready for more. And
Yeah.
so like you get to evolve as you evolve.
Well,
Oh, so good.
because I think that when you not I think, I know, when you approach things from a I love myself enough to learn and to take care of myself, when we approach it that way, we are now going on a lifelong journey where, health, fitness, food, all the things are part of our life that help us live that great life. And when they're part of your life, now you don't have to get upset with them, right? Like just like me, if this was the version of me 15, 20 years ago, I would have instantly been like, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe my legs look like this. I can't believe my clothes don't fit. I can't." Of course, I had that quick moment where I was like, "Oh my gosh, what is happening?" But, within a couple seconds, I was like, a couple minutes, I was like, "Okay, cool." Kind of like you did. I have two options, but I didn't say I had two options. I was just like, "Okay, I appreciate my body for what it does. I'm still living, I'm still breathing, I'm still moving. I'm actually still moving my body. I'm still able to eat foods and choose foods. So I get to just listen to my body and do what it needs to do. Great. Let's go eat a banana, right?" And so then I just went about my life. But again, if it would have been all those years ago, if I wouldn't have done that mindset work to approach it in that way, I would have gone back to old ways of saying, okay, how do I be extreme? How can I cut this? How can I do this? How can I step on the scale, lose weight? Even this journey of mine now that I'm on this season, I don't know. I can't tell you how much weight I'm losing. I can't tell you any of the numbers or anything. I didn't take a picture like I used to. I would just like, I'm back to living my life and I'm just choosing more veggies and I'm choosing less of the other things and I'm choosing to move my body more. That's it.
I love this so much.
So,
Oh, I
yeah.
cannot. I can. I. This is one of my top three favorite episodes I've recorded. So real, so raw, so honest, and just I love it so much. And so I really want to say thank you for just showing up as you today and
Thank
just
you.
going there. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because these are the conversations that we wish we could have out loud.
Mm.
Conversations we want to have with our girlfriends, but we don't really know how because we don't want to hurt their feelings or step on toes or make a thing out of stuff. And so I really, really appreciate you. This is one of my favorite episodes. So, how do people connect with you?
Oh, girlfriend, wherever. I'm all over social media. So Danielle La Rose. The TikTok is my favorite, but I'll be anywhere, Facebook, Instagram. And then 75 Day Healthy is my website, or Danielle Nicole La Rose. I just changed my last name, so I get confused. I'm like, who am I?
Who
um
am I? How do people know me in this world?
But yeah, I'm sure you'll drop links or whatever. But yeah, I mean, come find me, come hang out. Let's have it. I'm a dancer. I like just my motivation is through dance. That's how I get my energy. So come have a dance party with me.
So good. Go connect with her. I'll drop the links below. And with that, I want you to ask yourself today, what can I do today because I love myself? And start shifting the way you see the world. And so with that, that's Two Humans Talking. I'll see you next week. Bye. Thanks for watching. I hope you found this episode as inspiring and actionable as I did. If you're ready to stop just surviving and start living a life where your health, your relationships, and your career work together without the burnout, then it's time that you join the Modern Women's Society. Inside, I'll walk you through my life GPS system, a proven blueprint to help you have it all while thriving. You'll gain tools, coaching, and the kind of clarity that brings big dreams to life without the stress, overwhelm, guilt, and shame that the modern woman is used to. We're going to create a life where you feel energized and excited to wake up every day and fulfilled when you put your head on the pillow. Click the link below to learn more and join countless other women who are redefining success on their terms. Because the life you've dreamed about is closer than you think. I'll see you on the inside.